أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين آمين. Welcome to our conversations on civilization. We always begin in the name of God with a short prayer. That one is called the Fatiha. And we invite you all to enjoy the benefits of what the light we can shed in the few minutes we spend with you. Our conversation today continues on the topic of Zakat. Zakat. It is the third principle of Islam. It is what some might call the application side of the practice of Islam. We believe in one God. We keep up regular prayer, and the third principle, which is Zakat. Salat and Zakat. Those two principles are mentioned in the Quran over and over and over again. And whenever you hear Salat, you will hear the word Zakat. So what is the main idea that's delivered to us very clearly in the Quran? That in addition to communicating with the divine and praying for good for ourselves and all that we hope to assist, also there's a requirement, the practical requirement of the doing of good. That is the Ata az-Zakat, the delivery of Zakat. And as I pointed out in our first conversation on Zakat, Zakat is about 2.5% depending upon your net income. What your net income is 2.5%, and that's sort of standard throughout the Muslim world. But here's the touchy point, particularly in the West, that we have to make an adjustment for, because many of us come from other than an Islamic community and philosophical system. Some of us came from the church, some of us came from the street, some of us came to Al-Islam even from the synagogues, etc. Now, we must do something a little bit different in Al-Islam than we did in our prior societies that we came from. You must practice Zakat, that is the delivering of charity, and it exists, charity exists in every social milieu I've ever been in. But in Islam, it's very specific. The money that you bring after Salat, you add to Zakat. You bring money for specific purposes. The Holy Quran states those purposes very clearly. And I'll read to you first in Arabic and give you the English. Laisa el-birru. Laisa el-birru an tuwalla wujuhakum qibla al-mashriq wal-maghrib. Walakin el-birru البر آمن بالله واليوم الآخر والملائكة والكتاب والنبيين وآتى المال, and bring money آتى المال على حبه, and bring money out of love for God consciousness, and give it and use it for specific purposes. And this is the essence of what we want to share with you today. The money must be used after Salat, Ata Zakat, and you use the money for the near of kin, el kurba, el yatama, right? That's the orphan, wal masakin, and the poor, wa ibn sabil, and the one who's traveling in the way of God and doing the work of spreading the religion or doing good in the world, wal sa'ilina, and those who ask, wa fil riqab, and to free captured believers, or to free slaves, in order that you can liberate them, not enslave them to anyone else anew. And so these specific purposes are what I refer to you, and you must use them in your personal life and in your organizational life at the masjid or at the church or whatever religious institution you attend, or a social or cultural institution. See that the wealth is used for these specific purposes, and we have a specific effect, and that's what I wanted to get to. You have a designated area where you practice Ata Zakat, where you deliver Zakat for those purposes, and you begin to create in that neighborhood a sense of wealth and well-being. It begins to be an attractive place to live. More and more people want to come there, and when more and more people come there, those of you who study a little economics understand that it increases demand, and where demand is increased, property values increase. So now we're bringing about that miraculous transformation of lead to gold spoken of by philosophers. And we all want to achieve the good life, the positive, the wealthy life for ourselves. We create wealth and value by the doing of good, specifically zakat, zakat, the bringing of charity for those specific purposes in a specified neighborhood. And you create two movements that begin to happen. And one is economic, the one I just spoke of, and the other is legal. In that neighborhood, people have agreed to live according to these rules, certain specific rules for charity, for keeping up prayer. We also keep up the basic common sense Sharia. Common sense Sharia. Not the occult or something mystical or hard to understand. But the Sharia, in fact, the word in Arabic is often translated as street. You want to go to someone's house, he lives on such and such a Sharia. Okay? But the application of that definition in the Quran is to follow the way. Okay? The street, the way. The Sharia, the common sense Sharia of the Quran, is the Sharia of marriage, which keeps families together and prevents us from having so many orphans. Honoring contracts, that is leases in that neighborhood where we practice zakat. We all respect agreements. We don't permit theft and lying. And so you see, by zakat, when we iqama salat, establish prayer, and zakat, and bring the zakat for the specified purposes, we transform a neighborhood. We give it value. We create the value. It's wonderful. That's as much magic as we all ever need. We transform what has less value into that which has more value. We create an environment for law and respect and regard for law, which is for the social consensus. Law is no more than the agreement for social consensus. We provide and take care of orphans and the helpless, and we free captured believers. These are the rules we live by. And we iqama salat, and we all pray. And so these rules are the common sense Sharia. And out of that is born, once again, respect for marriage and marriage laws. And I'm talking about traditional marriage between a man and a woman and a man. Nothing bizarre, all right? We're not going there. We're staying within the realm of God. And we may deal with that topic another day, but for today, again, given the time we have, I thank you very much for paying attention. I hope you've picked up on these major points. That is, zakat, iqama salat, and zakat. And zakat is wealth brought for the doing of good. To again assist dhul qurba, the near of kin, the orphan, al-yatama, al-masakin, one who's traveling in the way of good, of God, doing good throughout the world. We can assist that one, man or woman. To free the captured believer. These are the purposes of zakat. Practice them in your community. Specify that area, because you must have by agreement, social consensus, that this is what we want to do in our community. And when we do so, we increase the value of our community. We establish the respect for law, social consensus, which is law. And we make life as much a paradise on earth as we're going to be able to have. And most of all, we set a practice in motion that we all pray Allah will carry us into the next world and be a practice for us on the other side as well as on this side. Thank you for giving me your attention and allowing me to spend a few minutes with you. Now it's time for you to give us your side of this social conversation, and we're anxious to hear your comments. Thank you again. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah wa barakatuh.